Good morning, fellow Corps members, Mayor's Office staff, family, friends, and colleagues. My name is Matt Surrusco, and I'm an AmeriCorps member finishing my term of service in the New York City Civic Corps. My 10 months of service were spent with the nonprofit organization Diahann, where my teammates Sandra, Jennifer, and I were responsible for engaging high school students in community service and global ed. Serving as an AmeriCorps member in the New York City Civic Corps has been one of the greatest experiences and challenges of my short professional career. In simple terms, my role with Diahann was to convince high school students to spend their free time doing community service. In the beginning, I was surprised how many young people were not only willing to volunteer, but they were enthusiastic about service. Some of these students are here today. Now, at the end of the year, I can proudly say we engaged Mott Hall Bronx High School students in over 4,500 hours of meaningful service, empowering hundreds of students to give back to their communities and make positive change. Empowering volunteers is something we all have in common. But as Civic Corps members, we don't merely recruit and retain volunteers. We make connections among organizations, government, and individuals. We transform everyday New Yorkers into volunteers, and we create and motivate citizen servants of the public who are changing the look, feel, and future of New York City communities across the 5 boroughs. We are here today, finishing our term of service with the New York City Civic Corps as a result of Mayor Bloomberg's vision to address New York City's most pressing needs through volunteerism. Fellow Civic Corps members, please join me in welcoming the Mayor of the City of New York, Michael R. Bloomberg.
Just before he got up here, I said, don't screw it up, and he didn't. I mean, he's just got to remember what the name of the mayor is. That's not that hard. Anyways, good morning, everyone, and welcome back to Gracie Mansion. I think you guys were here at a holiday party we had, and I can't think of a better way to start a new week with an enormous thunderstorm, which we had before most of you showed up here. I was afraid the tent was going to come down, but it's great to be with you. And I actually, in the spirit of volunteerism, volunteered to serve the coffee, cook the muffins, and that sort of thing. But everybody thought it'd be better if I didn't, so I didn't. And I had no intention of doing it anyways. It was one of those throw-out lines. I said, I'll do it, knowing full well, and if they'd ever said yes. It's like when you walk into class, I always had this theory that if you had your hand up, you'd never get called on. And it is a true story. One time in graduate school, I had my hand up. I had no idea what we were supposed to be talking about that day, and the guy called on me. It was very embarrassing. Anyways, I got through it. And in last August at Metro Tech, we all got together where I welcomed you to the Civic Corps and warned you that past graduates had set the bar pretty high. I did express my full confidence, based on absolutely nothing, that you would take the Corps to even greater heights. Turns out you did. Congratulations. Working with your hosts, you signed up some 747,000 New Yorkers to volunteer, and you helped raise more than $1.6 million in donations, and that brings the Civic Corps total over 3 years to about 1.4 million volunteers and almost $9 million raised. Really quite amazing. Congratulations. Now, in spite of the fact, those numbers really are truly impressive, and I think that they do speak volumes about how much the Civic Corps has accomplished, but I don't think they begin to paint the whole picture, and that's because the power of service is exponential. Every time you volunteer to give back, every person you engage in building a better community creates a ripple that spreads outward to impact many, many more lives. And I wanted to give you a couple of examples. First, think of the great work that this group has done for Bette Midler's Million Trees NYC. Corps members trained stewards to care for new trees we planted around the city, who in turn taught public school students about the power of green to improve lives in their own neighborhoods. And that work planted a seed, if you'll pardon the pun, that will bear fruit, second pun, for many years to come. I didn't write this, somebody else did, don't worry about it. I'm not that clever. Long after you've graduated, gone on to become leaders in your respective fields. and I'm introducing Matt rather than the other way around. Just consider the Isabella Geriatric Center in Washington Heights. I am getting to the age where geriatric centers are very important to me. Hopefully I'll wind up in one, where Corps members overhaul the system for training and scheduling volunteers, and now those volunteers spend more face time with residents and doctors and making even greater use of, greater difference in the lives of seniors who use the center. And thanks to your work, the center has seen volunteer participation hours more than double since last year. You also helped the Leak and Watt Social Service Organization develop a strong corporate volunteer program that's already engaged more than 450 volunteers in service to over 2,000 clients. And that's just the beginning. The New Yorkers that you recruited and trained went on to mentor more than 6,700 public school students and help 13,000 kids participate in sports and build a healthy foundation for future success. And they've improved the city's ability to meet nearly every kind of need, from public health to public safety to environmental sustainability. Together, those stories highlight, I think, what the Civic Corps is all about. It's not just the work you accomplish while you're part of the program, it's the culture of service, generosity, and volunteerism that you leave as a legacy when your 10 months in the Corps are up. And that's the culture we set out to nurture when we launched NYC Service back in 2009. We wanted not only to make New York City the easiest place in the world to volunteer, not only to maximize the impact of existing volunteer networks, but also to make service and volunteerism a central part of what it means to be a New Yorker. The Civic Corps program is a cornerstone of the NYC Service initiative and a big reason why those efforts are succeeding. And so the biggest thanks for all of that goes to you guys. So why don't you give yourself a nice round of applause. Now, Civic Corps has been extremely lucky to have the support of committed partners, especially the Lizzie and Jonathan M. Tisch Foundation, the Laurie M. Tisch Illumination Fund, and Target, as well as the outstanding leadership of Civic Corps Director Kevin Cummings, and also the nation's greatest Chief Service Officer, I better say that or she'll beat me over the head, Diahann Billings-Burford. Diahann, floor is yours.
I keep telling him not to let people know. We have to make the city think he's in charge. So, good morning, and congratulations. Before I begin, I always start with thanking the mayor. He gets a lot of thanks from people, and maybe sometimes not thanks, but I'm always thankful. I do have the pleasure of being the first Chief Service Officer. I do have the pleasure of when we go out, guys, people talk about the great work we do in New York. And one of the things we have discovered is most important across the country is you have to have a mayor that believes in this, believes in what we do, and will always be doing everything that we need. And so Mayor Bloomberg has always done that, and I appreciate you greatly. I also want to, she's walking away. I also just want to thank the first Deputy Mayor, Patty Harris, who is a wonderful, wonderful champion. As much as the mayor jokes around, he's not really scared of me. It's that I might tell Patty. So, but she has always been a champion, and she is always looking out for us. And she always says things, I might not like them, but they're actually right. So I thank you for that. And I thank everyone else, Kim, Nanette, and everyone who is here. You have made it to the finish line almost. We have a few more days, and I expect all of you to end up, to finish strong. The mayor has thanked our partners and everyone who has been supportive, the host sites, and we really can't do this without you. The whole point of Civic Corps is that we don't need to hold these people centrally, but we need to put them out in the field at your organization so that we can actually impact the city. And so we thank you for that. The mayor has shared the numbers, and they are impressive. But I want to say to the Corps members one more time, you hear me say this every time we get together. The numbers are important because the number are real people, and they're real services. And that's what makes them important. That's what makes your service important. There were actually trees planted, students tutored, students graduating, hungry families being connected to meals, foster kids receiving help that many of us take for granted, seniors that are being cared for and are not feeling disconnected, and communities being built. So that is what I'm thanking you for. I'm pleased with the numbers, but I'm really pleased about what those numbers mean. And so I was given an assignment, and so now I'm going to do it. I'm going to get to it. I have the privilege of announcing the host sites of the year. Very difficult decisions to make. You all got to nominate people and submit your opinions, et cetera, et cetera. Our force multiplication honoree is Harlem RBI. With the guidance of their supported supervisor, Adam, and their dedication to creativity, Christine and Patrick, can you guys stand? Thank you. You don't have to stand up the whole time. You have pushed the program to a new level. You have consistently broken their records for volunteer orientation night attendance. For the first time in organizational history, all volunteer softball coaching positions were filled this year. You integrated one-day volunteers, corporate groups, and Harlem RBI youth participants into the volunteer programming. Because of your successes and numerous others, Harlem RBI has been named the Force Multiplication Site of the Year. We also want to recognize their supervisor, Adam. Is Adam here? Well, he would have been recognized if he was here. Our second honoree, our last honoree, is the Infrastructure Building honoree, and that goes to the Boys Club of New York. Good job. The New York City Civic Corps members at the Boys Club of New York not only recruited volunteers, but you guys developed a program to keep them coming back. You developed volunteer management training for staff to ensure that volunteers were well utilized. You strengthened the program. You developed a volunteer survey, handbook, newsletter, and planned recognition events. Most remarkably, you secured a Taproot service grant in volunteer management so that a team of consultants can work to make the project even stronger and sustainable after your term of service. So KJ and James, congratulations. And are their supervisors, Megan and Atavia, here? Congratulations to you. So with that, I will say, please, even though my speech is at an end, do not believe that this experience has come to an end. I hope that you will stay connected with us. I hope that you will come to alumni events. You will interview new Corps members. You will continue, most importantly, to help this great city. A very high bar has been set. I mean, what would be a speech if I didn't put a little pressure on you? A very high bar has been set. We have 65% of your already alum from the Civic Corps who have decided to remain in the public and nonprofit sector. 20% of Civic Corps alum have chosen to continue their education. Good news for all of you, 60% of Civic Corps members gain employment right after the Civic Corps experience. So if you don't have something locked up, stay positive and let me know how we can help. We expect great things of you. Civic Corps alum have gone on to be entrepreneurs. I told you guys earlier, I got my little invite to the White House. I mean, the mayor plays golf with the president, but he didn't take me. It was a Civic Corps alum that invited me to the White House, and so I have high hopes and high expectations of each of you. I hope you will stay connected, and again, most importantly, I hope you will continue to serve this city. Thank you so much.
Diahann, you were talking about getting a job afterwards. In 554 days, I'm going to be unemployed. You got any ideas for me?
I have about 555.
Yes. Over the past 10 months, you've all learned a lot about the city and what makes it tick and what makes this the greatest place in the world to live and to work. Everyone's got their own take on New York City, and there's something here, I think, for everyone. For me, what makes this town so great is hands down the people that call it home, the diverse group, every kind of person you'd ever want to meet with every advantage and every disadvantage, every resource and every problem. But somehow or other, they all work together, and I don't think people who live here appreciate just how much we've done to make this a city that is welcoming for everyone. If you travel elsewhere, as you look back and you say, they don't do what there? And just, New York is the place to be. So I think the New Yorkers are the most generous, considerate, civic-minded people on earth. Thanks to you, now they have more ways to show it. So congratulations and the best of luck in your future. But whatever path you choose, I hope and I would recommend that it takes you right back here to the greatest city in the world and the greatest country in the world, New York City, USA. God bless and enjoy.